Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back. Let's go ahead and continue.
Government gets elected because I bow down to the people's will. My opinion is not bigger. My opinion is not bigger than the people's will of this nation, always.
Sadhguru, even if we buy this argument, there's a predominant conception that there is some leaning towards the right because, like, this is. Did you feel this is high time? This is high time to galvanize votes for 2019, that the Youth and Truth campaign.
See, okay. See, if I give a call, I don't have to go university to university. If I give a call, any party will get substantial vote, okay? But I will tell you this, my daughter comes and asks me, which party should I vote? I won't tell her.
Yes! Sorry. I spoke too loud. But yes, this is the same thing as I would push. I would never ever want anyone to vote for my party. Well, unless you want to vote for my party, which I don't know what party I am, honestly. Like I said, I'm right-leaning, but that doesn't mean I will not vote Democrat or Republican or someone in the center. Green Tea Party? I don't know. I honestly want to vote for like the party that's never going to win. It's like, oh, what did you vote for? It's like, well, I vote for the unknown party, the party of the dog. You know, I just put it on the ballot and said that dog is my vote. But you know, I would encourage people to vote. I would never tell them, I'll go vote for this one or this one. No, that's not how you. That's not how you're supposed to vote. You're not supposed to say, I will vote with whatever you tell me to vote, and I will vote for that. No. That's a terrible reason to vote. Do your research, at least a little bit of research, and find out who has your beliefs and your ideas, and vote for them. Put it this way: if you don't care to vote, go and vote for third party. The party that has like 0.1% of the vote. I think if more people vote for a third party, it would give the chance, at least in America, a three-party system. Right now it's just two parties. But if I think all the people who didn't vote voted, I think, and they all voted third party, one of the third parties, I think the third party would actually win just because the amount of people that go and vote.
I tell her, you need to think. She is an artist. So I tell her, you need to think, what's good for you and people around you? Maybe not good for me, it doesn't matter. What's good for you and people around you, for your community of artists, whatever, you must vote for that party, not what I say. In the… in the yoga center and everywhere I go, people ask, Sadhguru, whom should I vote for? I said, I will not take the step of destroying democracy. Because if I give a call and let's say 10 million people vote, have you not destroyed democracy? You have turned a democracy into a feudalistic process, that one leader gives a call, so everybody blindly will vote for something. This is what you're trying to change. People are voting on the basis of religion, caste, creed and all kinds of rubbish. This is what needs to change. Only when individual people think for themselves and vote, every time fresh, not committed to even a party, only then democracy will stay alive. This is the most precious thing we have, because what is precious about a democracy is power can shift without bloodletting. Never in the history of humanity such things have happened. Even if power has to change in a family, somebody will bleed. Yes or no? This is how it's been. But for the first time in the last 100 years or 150 years, we are able to change leadership without bloodletting. Do not underestimate that. Do not ever underestimate that.
Yes, oh my gosh, like I said, again, right-leaning, but that doesn't mean I will not vote a Democrat. I will vote Democrat if I think their ideas are much better than the Republican. I'll vote Republican if I think their ideas are better than Democrat. I'd vote freaking Green Tea Party or whatever the hell that third party is if I think their ideas are better. I'll put it this way, I'll only encourage third party. I will say this, I will encourage people to vote third party if they don't want to vote for any of the parties at all. The only reason why, again, in America, I don't know if it's anywhere else, because it's a two-party system and it's not good to say either this or this and that is it. I'd like a third option, please. So if you don't like Republican and you don't like Democrat, whatever they have to offer up, please vote third party to at least practice to know what you need to do when you actually have to vote. So when you say, oh, I want to vote Republican, at least you know the process to vote. Or you want to vote Democrat, you know the process to vote. You know, you're not going in there for the first time and you could end up messing up. At the very least, you learn how to vote and you're voting for third party, and for the most part probably won't matter. Or you could say, hey, that's weird, there's 5% of the vote went to the third party. There might be a push to put popular people in third party.
Sadhguru, let us move from politics to research.
Oh.
So, JNU is well known for research, and there are 8,000 students on this campus. More than 50% of students are in research.
No, 5,200 are in research.
Yeah,
I've done some research.
So okay.
Oh, wow, I caught him off guard.
Sadhguru, a question is keep bothering me since many years. That since you asked me, you said us to ask any question. You know, the question is, what is research, especially in social science?
Finding out things that your grandmother already knew. No, I'm not trying to belittle all research. It is just that a whole lot of things we may know, but still it is not articulated. It is not put in a way that it is implementable. Maybe your grandmother knew everything that you're researching, but she could not articulate and put it in a framework so that it can be applied somewhere. She knows it by her experience, but still it's not an application. So the idea of research is to find out things, maybe the same things people have known forever, especially in social sciences, not in physical sciences and other things, the research may be different, but in social sciences, a whole lot of wise people always knew whatever you're researching, all right? But still, it is not being put into a framework which is applicable, which can be used in a government or in an institution or somewhere else, wherever structures are there. So giving a structure to the knowledge that you already may know. And social sciences will keep changing because society keeps evolving and changing. So what your grandmother knew maybe was true for her generation, but everything might have changed. Many fundamentals might have changed because society keeps changing, people keep changing, their attitudes and keep changing, everything keeps changing, our practices. Daily how we behave, how we drive, how we walk on the street, everything is changing, isn't it? These days we're walking like this only. Hello? Nobody is looking at the road, they're looking at the Google map and walking. So things have changed. So accordingly, research also becomes valuable because many things have changed and a whole lot of people may not realize it's changed unless it's well articulated that this change has happened, this is the adaptation it needs. A whole lot of people may not understand unless it's articulated, so it's valuable.
Okay, real quick before he asks a question. That's actually, okay, I was like, social change, what does research means in social change? I'm like, what? And just to go off what Sadhguru said here, I don't know if it's exactly matching or not, but in America, I keep referencing America, obviously, because I live here. So, and I don't know if this applies in any particular country that you live in. It'd be pretty cool, I don't know if it's cool or not, but it'd be interesting if it does. It has to, like, yeah, I'm noticing that in my country too, and I live in this country. Don't say your city or anything, just a country. But, in the United States, there's been a push to, like, you know, go look back in history, or even just 2 decades, well, maybe, you know, maybe 50 decades, sorry, 5 decades ago, about like songs and things in the past, about how things used to be, and we're judging people based on the things in the past that was normal back then, but now it's not acceptable. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's weird to look at that. It's like, you know, that's kind of not really right, but it was kind of normal in the back in those times. It was socially acceptable, whether it be right or wrong. You know, you can't exactly condemn people for that. They were just part of the times. I mean, like, even if you look at like slavery, you know, it was never a good thing, but it was socially acceptable all around the world. Every single race has been a slave, and yet the weirdest thing is they only talk about ever one thing in, at least in America, but they don't ever think like any other race has ever been a slave. It's like only one race has been a slave and everyone else never been a slave. No one else has had oppressions except for one particular race, which is, you know, because they, again, these are the extreme groups, mind you, because they are so blindsided and to only focus on the things that matter to them, and everything else never existed. You know, again, going a bit extreme there, but yeah, it's kind of weird to start judging people in modern times for things that's done in the past, when people in modern times has had nothing to do with what people done in the past. Yet they're blaming people in modern times for the things that were done in the past that they had nothing to do with. I just repeated myself there. But or even like songs. I remember hearing that they're canceling certain songs because it's predatory, but yet they don't understand the actual song itself. Because back in the day, there's this person that's actually going against what societal norms are, so she's breaking the norms, and which is what modern women was trying to do. Is they're trying to break norms, but yet they're trying to cancel the song because she's breaking a norm, but they don't think it that way. I know. Sorry, I think I went a little too far.
Sadhguru, I have one more question on research. In research, we are taught to emphasize on 5 senses and logic. When it comes to spirituality, in many videos you said 5 senses and logic would not help you to access that reality. To how to reconcile between these two, research and spirituality?
See, to perceive what's around you, to operate in this world, fundamentally, you need to see, hear, smell, taste and touch. This is the way you know the physical world. So the instruments that you use for physical world may not be useful for seeing or perceiving another dimension of life. But that does not mean your eyes are useless, that does not mean your ears and sense of smell and taste and touch is useless. It is restricted to one realm of life. If you try to apply to another, it will go waste. It is like you're driving a car. You saw the moon, you know, yesterday was full moon. You saw the big moon and you felt like going there. Sometimes the car advertisements get little esoteric and they've told you, you really gas it up, you'll go to the moon. Well, if you try very hard, you may go beyond the moon, but you will not go to the moon. Because to go to the moon, you need a different kind of vehicle. In your car, you're not going to the moon. So similarly with your 5 senses, you are not going to cross the realm of the physical. 5 senses are designed only to perceive the physical nature. Your social sciences are physical nature around you. You better sharpen your 5 senses, it's very important that everybody does not see, they may have the same 20/20 vision, but everybody does not see what one person sees, isn't it, in the same given situation? Is it so or no? Everybody does not hear everything that another person hears. Hearing may be normal, but keenness of attention will make a huge difference. What you see, what you hear, how you see, how keenly you perceive things is not just because of your eyes, ears and nose and whatever. It needs a keenness of perception. For that, you need a heightened level of attention. That is what you must practice in research, not try to transcend 5 senses, because then you won't see the society, you will see something else.
I kind of wanted to interpret that, whenever saying at the very beginning, I have a clear interpretation of how I understood Sadhguru in this one, where the 5 senses, which he said in many other videos, is the fact that our 5 senses are perfect for survival. And it is what we use to perceive the world as a way of surviving. All our 5 senses are keen on that. Our ability to see threats, our ability to touch and feel, to see how things are, how rough or soft or hot or cold. The ability to smell maybe something burning, danger of burning, or maybe something's off about the food that you're about to eat. The taste, to make sure it's something sweet and delicious, or quite off again because your sense of taste and smell are kind of tied. But whether something's off or safe to eat, and then your smell, sight, or your hearing, to hear danger again. All these are just for survival purposes. None of it has to do with living life, as Sadhguru likes to say, or how are you happy? How does your senses make you happy? It doesn't. It doesn't teach you how to live life. It teaches you how to survive life, sure, but not to live life, to enjoy life. You can see a movie, but can you really enjoy the movie? Well, no, not necessarily. There's some movies that are terrible. You can smell good food, but your senses cannot teach you how to cook a good food, I guess, But how to prepare good food, and the passion to create amazing food is a way of living life. I mean, it's not the ultimate, but it's, again, part of life that your five senses cannot really provide. It's something a little bit more than what your five senses can do. Sure, your five senses can taste the food to say it's good or not, but how do you prepare the food? All these, essentially, it's actually art, in a sense. Things that are beautiful. It's all subjective in art. Something tastes great to you, but probably pretty awful to someone else. Maybe. Or maybe what's when you taste it's like, oh, this is awful, but someone else loves it. But this is all subjective, and this is all part of life. This is not objective truths. Objective truths is something that your five senses can do. Subjective is life. How life is perceived, how life is lived, how life is experienced. All subjective. And then, but yeah, this is how I like to interpret what he said here, is that our five senses are objectives. They're cold, hard logic, I suppose. Whereas what Sadhguru is trying to teach is subjective. Something that, because obviously there's no one correct way, there's many correct ways, and how to experience that correct way, to live life, to experience life in a joyful manner, in a blissful manner. Hopefully that all made sense.
Sadhguru, another very important concept which is very important in this campus is of feminism. And in one of your earlier videos, you have said that feminists are just desperately trying to be men.
No, you're going by other people's comments, not mine. You're going by some Delhi lawyers making some stupid comments, okay?
But still, Sadhguru, what is your idea of it? How would you see it?
First of all, a man and a woman are not two different species. We need to understand that till, let's say 50 years ago or 100 years ago, till technologies came, there were certain things in life that only a man could do, because everything work on this planet were essentially done by man's muscle. Yes? Everything by human muscle, mainly man's muscle. Women took to those kind of activities where muscle is not the main investment, there are other aspects to life, they took to that naturally. So that's how the world was running. Today, women are out and doing many things, not because of liberalism, not because of feminism, simply because of technology. Technology has devalued… Oh, it's a bad word to use, huh? Technology has devalued brawn. Only brain power matters now. Still it matters in India, even if you want to get onto your bus in India, you need some muscle. But if technology, as it gets very all-pervading in every aspect of our life, you will come to a place where you don't have to think who is a man, who is a woman. Why should you think? Right now I'm talking to you, what does it matter to me whether you're a man or a woman, I'm asking. Only in certain relationships, in certain spaces, being a male or a female is relevant, isn't it? For you to do your research, what does it matter whether you're a man or a woman? If you have a few brain cells working, you can do it, right? So, this thing about excessively trying to separate male and female as if they're two separate species is a wrong way to approach. This is happening in reaction to exploitative situations which have existed in the past. But even these exploitative situations are… it is true to some extent, to a large extent it is true, let me say this, but it is not absolutely true. It is not true all women in this country or all women in the world were exploited, it's not true. Many women lived wonderfully well. Yes? Maybe they never came out of their homes and did some work outside, but they lived wonderfully well, fulfilling their part of their work beautifully and doing it. So this idea that man and woman always have to fight to achieve something is a wrong idea. So instead of talking about feminism, I am saying what is feminine has to find equal value in the society means one thing that needs to happen is… see, if you create survival of the fittest kind of atmosphere, masculine will rule. When I say masculine, I'm not saying man. A woman may become more masculine in given situations and she may succeed. But the loss of feminine is a loss for the species. Hello? If we lose everything that's feminine, everything that's gentle, everything that's beautiful is lost simply because we have created a crude society where unless you are like this, you can't win.
Man, there's so much I want to say here. Sadhguru's so right, and it's just why I keep thinking, although he says it a lot better than I… and although the masculine and feminine, I do like that idea, it's interesting.
You're destroying the species. The beauty of feminine is gone, then men will wonder why the hell are they alive after some time.
And that's kind of something that's the extreme version of feminism in America is doing too, is trying to kill femininity, or the feminine as he says, because they're trying to make women so tough and so hard and so cold, but women, in my opinion, are beauty. And the weirdest thing is that the extreme feminism thinks beauty or gentle or kindness weakness, when in reality it's a different kind of strength, at least in my opinion, and it's something very beautiful and something to cherish, whereas men tends to be hard and cold and logical, but it's really needed, but it's nothing really too beautiful about it. I mean, it's needed, but not always beautiful.
Yes, it will come. So for any wonderful society to happen, it's very important we create an ecosystem where both masculine and feminine can function. But from the caveman's time, where human muscle ruled everything and women were kept in a certain way because muscle was the most important thing, once again we are creating the same system in the modern world, survival of the fittest, dog eat dog, rat race, whatever you want to call it. If you do this, you will kill the feminine, maybe not the women. Women may succeed, they may build themselves like men and they succeed. But isn't it a great loss for the species? That somewhere you understand feminine is weakness, this must go. Feminine is not weakness, it's another form of strength, it's another form of life expression. As masculine is one form of expression, feminine is another form of expression. In yoga, the masculine is called right, Pingala, and feminine is left. So, I'm sorry, I'm on the right one.
And yes, this is… and in the past, obviously men and women contribute differently. There's so much in terms of survival in the past that there's no one person that can handle everything. I've heard stories, and I wouldn't doubt this to be true, that the women who try to be like a man, in terms of being hardworking and pushing up the corporate ladder and working 80 hours a week, and all of a sudden they're 40 or 50 years old and realize that their prime days are gone and don't have a family and they're alone eating by themselves cup noodles or something like that, and they kind of wish that they'd never done that. But there's a problem that also there are women out there who are like that, who realize this is terrible but yet continue to push a narrative because they believe that the fact that, oh, I can't show that I'm weak, that I'm terrible, that I'm sad because I did what I thought was right, what everyone else is saying, and I must continue to push this narrative. But no, instead of speaking the truth, like, I wish I didn't do this. This is a waste of my life. There's so many other things that would make me so much happier. Pushing 80 hours a week, making 6 figures is not what life is about. It's not enjoying life. I'm alone, you know. I will say, I wonder why men's a little bit different in that way. I guess we kind of find pleasure in working really hard and providing. That's kind of been the men thing for a long time. I'm not saying all women are like that, where they become unhappy if they make 6 figures. No, but it tends to be more men have no issues doing that. And there are some women who are completely successful in doing all these things and are very happy. But I think if you look at the percentages, I think there are more men, say like 60% of men, who work this corporate lifestyle and are happy. There are 40% of men who did this corporate lifestyle and are completely unhappy. And then you look at the female, maybe 20 to 40% of female who work this corporate lifestyle and are happy, and then 60 to 80% of female who are working this corporate lifestyle and completely unhappy. That seems to be at least in the United States. And the proof of that is the fact that I think Sadhguru said this, and I've heard some doctors say this, that women are like 80% on drugs. 80% of women are like on some type of depression drugs, antidepressant drugs. And I think most of America is on some type of drug too. So it's not just to say it's the female, but it's kind of, we have to open our eyes to the common sense here, that why are we on drugs? Americans like quick fixes. We don't want to work on anything, you just need quick fixes. Again, I think I exploded here, I'm sorry.
But we are on equal terms, 2 and 2, huh? It's okay.
Surely, Sadhguru.
Sadhguru, we as students stay away from our homes, from the familial, emotional comforts. In terms of our careers, we move out seeking greener pastures. In that, we seek company in opposite sex. Some people get into relationships which gradually progresses to physical intimacy. Sadhguru, the question is then, why as generations we cannot discuss it openly? Or is premarital sex still a taboo?
That's all cultural.
See, this is not some kind of a prescription. This is an individual need. Right now, we must understand this. In this society, we handled human sexuality like this. Before a girl attains puberty, they are named. This is the boy you're going to marry at the age of 6 or 7. They don't marry, but they keep telling him, your uncle's son, this guy, you're going to marry him, you're going to marry him. They're telling him, you're going to marry her. So they have not seen each other, they have not met each other, they have nothing going, but emotionally they're being bound. Before they touch each other physically, they want them to be emotionally bound in a strong way. So this is the technique of the culture, how they dealt with it. So when you become or attain to your puberty, when your body blossoms into certain possibilities, now your emotions are already with somebody. So you handle your body, you don't go wild, because your emotions are already attached to somebody. So by the time they're 15, 16, the girl gets married. By the time they're 17, 18, the boy gets married. They get into agriculture or business or whatever, their activity. So one important aspect of the life of the youth is settled. One thing is emotion, another thing is a physical requirement. Both are settled at an early age. And of course, those days children came within a year or 2 years, so they got engaged and they got busy and life went on, all right? Today, our lives have changed, because by the time you finish education, most people are minimum 24, 25 years of age. PhD means 35? I don't know what. It depends how kind your professor is. So, let us say average education time is 25 years of age. By the time they get employment and settle down somewhere to reasonable financial security, 30 years of time, all right? The peak of human hormonal function is between 15 to 30. You're not teaching people some ascetic way to live. You're not giving them some sadhana that they're transforming their energy into some other possibility and attaining to something else. There is no such thing. And there's close proximity with the opposite sex. If you don't want to address it, then you will create an unhealthy society, very unhealthy society, which unfortunately is finding expression in violent ways in our society, because we've not addressed the fundamental needs of a human being. First thing is nourishment. If nourishment is taken care of, you must understand, nourishment is survival. Once survival is taken care of, naturally the species, this is not even individual, the species that you are is longing to reproduce. This is how it's built. It's longing to reproduce because this is survival of the species. If people don't reproduce, there is not going to be human race, isn't it? So, your body and your mind plays many tricks, and how when you look at somebody you suddenly think they're the most beautiful, suddenly you think they're the most fantastic, you will discover later many things. But initially, everything is clouded. See, I'm telling you, let's say you are 10, 12 years of age, you looked at people, they're quite normal. Suddenly you became 14, every little bump on somebody's body is a world by itself. Simply because your hormones begin to influence everything. In a way, your intelligence is hijacked by your hormones. Now, this is not to be judged as bad or good, this is a natural process. There may be a few people who will go beyond that. It's fantastic for them if they can go beyond that. They're not compulsive about it, they went beyond it, fantastic for that person. But you expect the whole society to go beyond it, you're just stupid. Such a thing doesn't happen. So, definitely the debate of when and how sexuality should happen has to come in. But now, we are still having a certain cultural aspects to us that we are an emotional lot. We are still an emotional lot. People suffer immensely when things happen without the needed emotions. A whole lot of people at least. There may be a few people who are above that, but a whole lot of people suffer. So, for our country, for our society, how to deal with this without causing a major disruption in the social structure is something that we must debate. You must do research on it, how to do it.
Interesting. I mean, to answer her question, I mean, Sadhguru said a lot, but yeah, the only thing I can really think of is the fact that it's a natural process, and which again, Sadhguru said. I mean, I'm sorry I'm answering late. It's like I'm copying Sadhguru here, but I mean, I can't really add too much to that. Sadhguru did say a lot, and I don't disagree with him, and it is I don't know. The only thing I think of is I have an assumption of why she's saying that, and I think it's mostly talking about men and how men tends to have a stronger sexual desire at a younger age, between, I don't know, I guess as young as 15, depending on whenever they hit their puberty, and and until, I don't know, 30, I suppose. Like, I guess they're within the range that Sadhguru said. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I mean, I think men have a very strong sex drive. And I'm wondering if she's talking about that in some sense, trying to understand it. And that's something that I've thought about myself, is how to explain to a woman about a man's sex drive. I have an explanation, but I'm not going to say it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to say it, and I don't know when I'll say it, but I'll because it's like, how do you I don't there are some women who feels the same sexual desire as men. They have a strong sex drive, but I think most women don't. But I think later on in life, I think women have potentially a higher sex drive than men, maybe. But anyways.
Guru, though I get a little hint of the answer of my question from your elaboration, but still I will ask it. I had this belief, or in fact maybe I was made to believe, this whole concept of one life, one partner, But now when I see or observe, the whole monogamous relationships do not seem to be existing anymore. The whole idea of it is gone. What you think about it?
Whew. Sorry. I mean that is kind of like the same in the United States too. It's I don't necessarily know if it's a good or a bad thing. I mean, I think people want it, but I think because of how society is, how quick things are now, how easy things come, easy come, easy go, as they say, and how we think of only ourselves, that when we find someone that's attractive, we don't really get to know them. We just act upon our urges. Again, in American society, there are women out there who try to be like men in terms of their sexual nature, trying to sleep with as many men as possible. And again, this is some videos that I watch too. It's dating somewhat, but also kind of like explaining certain cultures in America, especially in very metropolitan areas. And a lot of women, it's talking about how women, they say how men are trash because they date so many men, and like wondering why they don't commit or anything. But it's kind of like if they don't see the mistakes that they're making, and that's, I think, the biggest problem, and the fact that they don't understand men to a lot of degrees. They understand one part of men, but the other parts they don't understand, and I think that's a big problem. And I think men do understand women more, for the most part, at least in this metropolitan areas. That's the reason why men can get what they want, at least the 20% of men, in a way. Or the players of men. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, it's not gone. Maybe in JNU it's gone.
Oh, dang. Ouch.
In the rest of the world, it's not really gone. Even if you go to United States, where there seems to be so much promiscuity, even there, when people marry, they believe it's for life. But of course, 2 years later, life gets over. That's another matter, but when they get married, they believe it's for life. That's why they invest in the diamonds. They think it's a lifetime investment. They're putting on that. But unfortunately, for all kinds of things, relationships go wrong. And one reason they go wrong so easily is because people are meeting much later in their life. See, when people met much younger, when their personalities were not concretized, they met early, 17, 18, then two people became like one person very easily. Now they're meeting at 30. Now both are concretized, two concrete blocks. But I'm seeing young people, if they marry, they hang on. If people marry over 50 years of age, they hang on because they have again softened up, concretized again. Between 30 and 50, it's a bit of a concrete block, strong persona. Now, friction happens. Well, if they're wise, they will find something beyond. Well, monogamy and polygamy or whatever kind of gamy, if you want to see, the important thing we need to understand is, we are all here. You and me are here. This means a man and woman came together some time ago. Maybe you think their parents, they don't love, they don't do sex, they don't do anything. Just because a priest uttered a mantra, you were born, probably. No, it's not like that. Somebody had a physical need, so they handle it through marriage, and we are here. And now we can, at a certain age, at a stage in your life, when you become 18, you become always against marriage. But when you were 3 years of age, you were for marriage, your parents' marriage. When you were 3 years of age, were you not glad your parents had a stable marriage? Hello?
Yes.
When you're 18, you think of free sex and no marriage and everything. But once again, if you become 50, 55, then you will look for a relationship that lasts. So it is for you to consider, because it's your life, to consider whether you want to live a life where emotionally you're always looking out for somebody, or you settle it in a certain way so that you can use your intelligence and time to create something else. Your research, your work or whatever you're doing, if emotions and body are settled, actually, your ability to use your intelligence will be much better. Otherwise, every day you have to walk around to find somebody. No, I'm not making this thing because I feel so bad in United States. People I know that thousands of people are involved with me now. People over 40, 45 years of age, women I'm saying, wonderful people. But they are all on this… these days they've all gone online. Otherwise they go sit in a bar and wait. Somebody needs to pick them up today. It's terrible.
Tinder generation.
I'm sorry?
Tinder generation.
Whatever you want to call it. But I think it's so pathetic when a woman at 45 should have been loved and respected in a proper atmosphere. Now she's sitting there looking for some strange guy to come her way, and she's going to make the judgment in the next 10 minutes when he buys her a drink or a dinner or something. This is tragic. This is tragic that you will end up without any sense of dignity. This doesn't mean everybody will go that way, but you must think of the larger well-being. Before you break a social structure, you must think whether we can replace it with a better structure. At any point in our life, let everybody understand this, whether it's a social structure or a political structure or a psychological setup in the society, whatever, before we break it, we must think through whether we have a better alternative system. Without an alternative system, if you break the existing damn thing that's working reasonably well, then it'll go crazy.
Like I said a little bit earlier, it is very much that where it is something. I don't mean to bring this up, but it's something that's kind of happening in Japan. Again, whenever I was doing some interesting video watching over there about how the population of Japanese people is declining because a lot of women are focusing on their jobs over relationships, and they're selling more adult diapers than baby diapers. Again, I don't think we should force anyone to do anything, but you know, but we have to understand the reason why something happens. Never force. But again, whenever women choose to do the workplace, society will crumble. When men do the workplace, choose work over family, of course. And that's the same thing for men too. If men choose work over family, then obviously society… Well, the problem is though, men's a little bit different because men have a very high sex drive, so men reproducing, not a problem. Women reproducing, on the other hand, I think they get their sex drive much later on in life, like a higher sex drive than they normally would, I think, because I think their estrogen levels drop, whereas men's testosterone levels drop when we get older too, so we become less sexual, less horny, or women gets more horny. It's not to say that, you know, men is right here and then women gets up here, but it's just it goes somewhere like that. It could be like that, like, you know, whatever it may be. But the thing is, though, that women, sad truth of the matter is, and which I did not know until my cousin let me know, that kind of have an expiration date in terms of when they can have children, or at least not menopause, but like a little bit earlier than that, like issues having birth. Age was 35, and I was like, holy crap, I did not know that. I know menopause stuff, like basically where they just stop popping eggs out. But I didn't realize that there's another time frame that where it becomes quite dangerous or less likely to succeed. So women do have that time frame and men don't. And that's the reason why women like older men, because men don't freaking mature quick for the most part, you know. And that's what someone else says, and it makes sense, you know. And that's something I've also heard throughout my life, that men are immature for the most part. They don't mature until later on in life. But yeah, women, when they come too late to realize that they're too late for certain things. But again, you know, even if you're much older, there are men out there who are not looking for children or who are just looking for a relationship. So it's not doom and gloom for all women, but it is in terms of your body if you want to have a baby, because that is something that's kind of nature. Medicine has come so far to allow you to have babies later on, but do understand that every woman has a kind of time frame, and it's different. It's going to be different for everyone, but just if you do want to have a family, and hopefully you want to stick together as a family to give your child the best chance, you find someone worthy. You know, getting sex from men, no problem for women. In the statistics in the United States, they say 80% of women are having sex with 20% of the men, and that's with dating apps. Like 80% of women are checking yes on 20% of the men and rejecting 80% of the men. So 20% of men, yes, sex. 80% of the men, no. And this is the kind of the reason why I guess a lot of, like I said earlier, where women are thinking like men are trash because they're all sleeping on the top 20% of men, and those 20% of men know they can hit it off with as many women as they want. That's just some statistics out there. I don't know if it's true for any other countries. Let me know.
Sadhguru, thank you so much for the elaboration. It was extremely valuable and precious for us. The different reflections that you had on the various aspects of life that came up in our questions and also in your answers. Before we open this house for the wonderful audience tonight, we'd like to take up some social media questions. And the first question is by Aniket Divadkar. He says, "Hi Guruji, in recent days I came across several contents about Illuminati, secret society, who are ruling our whole world using media, finance network, and pharma politics. Even many leaders, gurujis, and priests are under their control. Your answer on this?"
Not me.
But you have to still answer the
Yeah,
question.
I will, but I'm saying I'm not under that control.
I agree.
Who picked this question? To me, that's a very I forgot what they call that kind of question, but I don't believe it. I don't believe there's this Illuminati or whatever. There's been, in my opinion, no evidence of it. Obviously, if you go searching into the web, you'll find people that can link 1 or 2, 3 things together, and you're like, oh, that's proof of it, you know. But I generally don't believe in it. I mean, I'm sure you can prove unicorns exist in the world if you go and search on the internet long enough. I mean, in Earth, not other planets, in Earth. I'm sure you can prove that unicorns exist on Earth if you look on the web long enough. I'm sure they probably exist in other planets, in other solar systems or universes. Maybe, perhaps. That's very much a possibility. Like, I do believe aliens exist. But to say that they are on Earth is another thing. Could they be on Earth? Maybe. Advanced technology? Possibly. But, you know, highly unlikely, though.
Say, I think you're reading Dan Brown.
Who's that?
You mean Aniket?
Huh?
Aniket Divadkar.
Yes. Aniket, wherever you are. See, it is part of European culture to always… Well, we are also imbibing it these days quite a bit. But in Europe, secret schools were romantic stuff. Even people who are now famous like a Socrates or Aristotle and these people, they were also part of the secret schools. Why would I make my school secret? Because society is in a mode of persecution of anything that it does not agree with. Persecution. Only if there is persecution, a school becomes a secret school, isn't it so? So, secret school traditions are so much in Europe because the dogmatic religious beliefs were really suppressing anything. Anything that they think is gathering 10 people, they want to demolish it, they will kill them. So they ran secret schools. In this, whatever you are referring to as Illuminati, and later on it transformed itself into Freemasons, some history, I cannot confirm this, some books have been written as to how Freemasonry was started by the Indian Masons who went to Egypt. Because they had to survive in a strange land, they came up with all kinds of tricks how to survive. Among themselves, they developed code and communicated with each other in code language so that they survive in that hostile culture. And from there it spread, that's what some books say, but there is no historical certainty about that. But it's possible, we know that masons went, stone masons from India went for building pyramids and the Baalbek temple. There are clear records about the Baalbek temple in Lebanon, which is about 4,200 or 300 years old, where they built a Phoenician temple which was built, where Indian masons and Indian elephants worked. Every Lebanese child knows about it in their school, but none of the Indians ever study this or anything like this is mentioned anywhere in any of the Indian history books, unfortunately. Anyway. So, later on it became Freemasonry, and Freemasonry took on a powerful form. When it went to United States, it took on a very powerful form because the Christian dogmatic thing was so suppressive. Free-thinking people called themselves Freemasons, though they were not doing any masonry anymore. But you will see one thing, wherever Freemasons are there, the building designs are fantastic. I've gone to a whole lot of Freemason temples simply because I love the design part of what they have done, fantastic designs. Because geometry is very much a part of their culture. It is because of this probably somebody is writing books saying that they came from India, because in India the yogic culture invested itself absolutely in the geometric aspect of life. Yoga means, in one way, aligning your geometry so that you become aligned with the cosmic geometry, so that your experience of life is enhanced in such a way that what is you and what is cosmos in some way becomes a reflection of yourself, or you become a reflection of the cosmos, whichever way you want to see it. So because wherever we see an extreme sense of geometry, then we think yogis must have been here, because this level of geometry doesn't come unless you are into an internal process in ancient times. Now, of course, people are studying geometry at a different level outside, but otherwise, at that time, the only way you could understand geometry so complex was studying your own structure, how this body is made, and observing the planets and astronomical phenomena. So, at one time, yes, they controlled a few things, but I think all secret schools are overly exaggerated. And don't worry, Aniket, huh? What's his name? Aniket, don't worry, they're not controlling anything much these days. Donald Trump is controlling a lot of things.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause right here because I'm gonna just go ahead and speak a few words before I get to the 1 hour marker. So about everything I say, I mean, again, about women being depressed or happy or whatever, ultimately you make, women or men, ultimately you make the decision in your life. You should not be forced to do anything you don't want to do. But at the same time, you cannot force your ideas on anyone else. You cannot force anyone to say what you want them to say. So you accept them as they are or whatever. And the biggest thing is, I don't want people to make regrets in their life. I hear stories about women who push themselves to be like men, whatever that means. Working 80 hours a day, become CEO. That has nothing to do with freaking being a man. That's just freaking working your ass off, making your way to the top. And I think I've heard that even the 3 out of the 6 weapon manufacturers in the United States were women CEO run and controlled. Again, nothing to do with being a man, just freaking working your ass off. And if that's something that you want to do, more power to you. But I can only hope that you do not live to regret that decision. I keep hearing, I mean, they hear that 80% of women are on antidepressant drugs. I don't think it's that high. It's maybe 60 to 80%, somewhere around there. fact checked all of that stuff. But it's kind of sad to see that. Even if it was happening to men, it's that 80% of men are on antidepressants. It's still, we have to start realizing there's something going on, there's something wrong. And we need to fix, I don't say we have to fix that, but we have to realize that so that future generations don't end up in the 80% doesn't become 100% on antidepressants. And that's really the main message here. It's the fact that do what you want, make sure it is something that makes you happy, make sure you don't regret the decisions you make in life, and don't start believing in what other people tell you. Don't start believing feminism or meninism or whatever-nisms. Make sure it makes sense to you and that you genuinely do believe it. Like Sadhguru says, don't go in there with any kind of biases or anything like that. Listen, and what I say, listen to people, hear out different opinions. You don't want, like, I would not doubt this is true, that there are feminist people out there who are trying to get other women to be as depressed as them. Now, I wouldn't doubt that to be with the side of men too, but I don't really see that. But then again, I have not seen that. But anyways, there are a group of depressed people out there that are trying to get more people to be depressed like them, so they're not alone in their depression and don't fall into that trap. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Be wise, be open, make sure you do what you want, don't force anyone else to do it, don't be forced into doing anything, and hopefully you make all the right decisions in life to be happy. Anyways, that's the end of this video. My gosh, there's still more to go. 2 more at the very least. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.